here in the qualifiers for the Epicenter Major in partnership with Ray Gaming. I am your play-by-play caster, Hasbaz, and I'm joined by the wonderful, the woeful, I'm out of W words, Wingblade, how excited are you to see these two teams head off against?
Radiant team ban!
NAVI has been doing a really good job. They've won all of their games in convincing fashion. But Winstrike looked really good last game, so I'm excited to see how they stack up against probably one of the two favorites for coming into this qualifier, aside from VP and possibly Gambit. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, Navi, it looks like they might have some sort of idea what happened in the last match
10 seconds
with that
remaining.
Drow Ranger ban. Just not going to let Winstrike run the same sort of strat.
Team ban.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It's just a very good strategy. It's pretty easy to execute too, so seeing a Drow ban is no surprise. No Doom ban though, coming out from either team.
Yeah, they got rid of the Enigma. That's someone who slipped through in the last game we saw. But these are very meta bans. Oracle, the Abaddon, none of them are really, I don't think, are targeted at certain individuals.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, for sure. It's just taking out solid heroes, no huge respect bans here.
Team pick.
So let's see, there is the Doom. NAVI has the option of going for a Nyx if they want to, which is always pretty damn good against Doom, because you can just always reliably get the stun off onto the Doom with the Spike Carapace, because he has the Scourge to it. And overall, it's just a very strong hero too.
But I do have to say, I feel Navi, they might be pressured to take the Grimstroke away.
Remaining.
Because Lil, he did absolutely amazing on that. Got to, that fast Hex Ether Lens. And Doom is one of his best lane partners. And I'm not sure you want to let Winstrike have it, because I think they'll just take it in this first phase.
That's a good point. I was about to mention the Sand King though. He's another really big winner from this patch. He's one of the most contested heroes as well, and just very reliable. And I know that Navi likes playing it, so no surprise here. Wonder who they're gonna pair it up with though.
Do Navi like to run this Sand King in the off-lane position? Or are they one of the people who have it flexible in either the 3 or the 4?
So we'll have to wait. But speaking about this pick, a Magical Ember is always nice to see.
I do have to agree with you. Magical, obviously one of the most skilled mid players around, and he started off. People questioned him, but he's had a few standout performances and cemented himself as one of the better CIS mids. So this is going to be a treat to see on his Ember Spirit. I have to agree with.
So Winstrike does have the option of going for their Storm Spirit right now, but Storm is kind of a scary matchup against Ember, because it feels like both of these heroes counter each other, because Ember has the pretty reliable Searing Chains to deal with the Storm, and Storm can follow Ember pretty much everywhere with his zip. I don't feel like it's very likely that Winstrike goes for it here though, because they don't have the Drow, and yeah, we see the Grimstroke.
Oh, sometimes it is nice to understand what Winstrike are thinking, and they clearly do value this hero, and having seen Lil's performance on it, I have to agree with him. I thought he did so much work in that bottom lane, and then when it came to the team fights, it felt like he always had the right soulbind.
Yeah, they pick it first phase and for a good reason. Like, we saw a similar build from Lil that we saw from Jarex earlier, where he just really prioritizes getting out that Hex early, just to have that insane synergy with his ulti. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something similar again. Yeah,
and I do have to say, I actually quite like the Grimstroke versus the Ember. Because the silence, just having a solid silence can, it can either, allow someone else to follow up on him, or maybe you are able to get that ink spell over. So I really like it versus the Ember, and not just as the partner.
You kind of need a setup stun first though, because dodging the Spirit isn't all that difficult on Ember. You just instantly remnant away. It's not a very reliable silence, unless you can have someone to set it up for you.
5 seconds remaining.
I guess that is a very good point. So Winstrike, they are removing the Naga Siren. We saw a bit of this hero yesterday, and it just feels with Naga Siren games, if she's allowed to farm to a certain point, the other team honestly just loses the game.
You pretty much automatically put the enemy team on a timer, and it really sucks to have a set timer. Even if you have other really strong late game heroes, it doesn't really matter, because Naga is not only very strong in fights, but just the amount of map control that she provides is so hard to deal with.
Radiant team ban.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there and then. And they do get rid of this lifestealer. Do you think that signifies any kind of hero they're going for, getting rid of the lifestealer? Or it's just another one of the strong carries of the patch?
Yeah, I think so. And Crystallize is a really good lifestealer too, and lifestealer is one of the better carries against the Doom Grimstroke lane. So it looks like a combination of just a ban of opportunity as well as a bit of a respect ban for Crystallize. Speaking about respect bans, Navi takes out the Storm. Not too big of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about how both the heroes counter each other. And I personally would be very afraid of that Storm Spirit, and especially when you're picking a squishy hero like the Keeper of the Light, very susceptible to make sure he's not there in the pool.
So this is an interesting hero for Navi. We haven't really seen
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Do you know how do they play this Keeper of the Light? Does he build 4 staff, or does he run in the 4 or 5 position? What do they do with this Keeper that makes it strong on Navi?
I feel like it's no specific item build or something, it's just the teamfight presence. Also, I stand corrected, they didn't pick it this qualifier yet, they picked it in a tournament a bit earlier. So that's my mistake. But I feel like it's overall just a pretty undervalued teamfight hero, because he provides so much control. Right, this is another classic crystallized hero. Very solid stun, yeah. Pretty nice in a dual lane with a Koala if you decide to run it that way. And very good against Grimstroke Doom. We spoke about this, I believe, yesterday, but just having that reincarnation just counters Doom completely.
No, exactly. If Doom him, he just comes right back to life and doesn't care about it. And this Wraith King, it does seem to be pretty prevalent here in the CIS region. What do you think the strength of this hero is, other than the fact that obviously he has 2 lives?
Well, he skills fairly well, but on top of that, he just has a stun, and he's just so tanky. When you have a playmaking mid laner like Ember, it's very nice to just have a solid carry who's not gonna get caught off too many times and can just fight early with his stun.
Yeah, it's also something I feel people overlook is just how good those skeletons are at pushing.
Yeah, that's true as well. These skeletons are so broken. The fact that they reincarnate as well makes them possibly one of the strongest summon spells in the game.
Yeah, and worth noting is to towers, they don't do like creep damage, they do hero damage to towers. They push more than you would think they would.
Yeah, they're insane. And they give so little gold as well. Like, Nature's Prophet Treants give like 20 and Skeletons give 5. And only the second time you kill them.
Yeah, it feels bad when you kill that first round of Skeletons. And this is a unique ban. Is that Techies an actual ban, or they just don't... Do they play it on Navi?
Like 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
And the enemy team is gonna have no idea how to play against it, so I feel like it's definitely a valid ban.
But, okay, it's just because, you know, most teams, unless they have a dedicated techies player, but yeah, I know in the games I play against people who are like level 25 techies, I just cower in fear, and I feel like I'm not able to go on the map, I'm not able to push high ground. And honestly, just the fear of that hero, I do not blame Winstrike getting rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. And Zayats is one of the best techies players, possibly in the world, so makes a lot of sense.
But Winstrike, they are running out of time here. They need to pick their mid laner.
They go for the Lone Druid. Interesting. We haven't really seen this hero be too successful in the qualifier. We saw NIP lose with it. We saw TFT lose with it. But it's a pretty good matchup against Ember, especially in lane. You can really shut him down. So, I mean, Kuman, he's a pretty good player, so I expect some good stuff from his lone druid.
But the thing about the lone druid is it always feels like he wins the lanes, gets to a good point, but then they end up losing the game. Like both games we watched, I'm pretty sure we saw teams able to take a lane of racks first, but then actually lose the game from there on.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of a drafting problem as well, where very often they put the lone druid in a very favorable position, so he gets really fat, but at the same time their true carry is struggling a little bit, and lone druid doesn't do well when he's the only farmed hero, because he just gets focused. Even though he's so tanky, he doesn't really have escape mechanisms. So if he gets focused, he can't really right click, and if the other carry cannot take advantage of that space in fights, it's really hard to win. But this Winstrike lineup does have a Jug, they have a double Doom, so this lone druid is not gonna be alone in having to carry this game.
Yeah, so Na'Vi, they have a lot of time to think about this last pick. Do you have anything that you think really exploits the side of Winstrike, or they're just going to go for a solid either 4 position or an offlaner, depending where they want to tanking?
Yeah, I feel like just having another stun would be very nice. I don't see any obvious counters. Maybe they can get something with a Dispel to get rid of Lion stuff. Something like potentially a Legion. And we see Shadow Demon. Interesting. This is quite good against Jug. It's another save. So it's a solid pick overall.
Yeah, I was just mainly thinking about it versus the Juggernaut. Just that purge that he's never able to get. You're finally able to get on top of that speed Juggernaut. As well as actually thinking about it, if Crystallize does go for a Radiance build, I don't know if he's, an Armlet builder. But if he gets a Radiance, then Zayak will be able to get scale into some deep farm, actually.
True. It's also worth noting that Shadow Demon is actually surprisingly good against Lone Druid, because both Lone Druid and the Bear have really high max HP, and Shadow Demon just removes 40% of it with his, what's it called again? His W.
Yeah, I know the spell, I can't remember.
Soul Catcher, is that it?
That does sound like it. So we're looking at both the sides now. We've seen the completed lineups. We know Navi are currently on fire, having dropped a game. Do you think the Winstrike lineup might be able to take a victory against Navi?
I feel like there is always a chance, and it looked super good last game, but at the same time, I feel like Navi's lineup just has such a clear-cut game plan and ease of execution, and combining that with just being a really solid team overall, I feel like Navi definitely put themselves in a good position to take this game.
Yeah, I do hear you there. I think who's the most important person on the side of Winstrike that needs to get off to a good start that will allow them to be able to push forward and possibly take them?
I feel like a lot is gonna come down to whether Lil as well as Non-Grata can get off the Doom combos. Because I feel like Jug is just gonna farm, the Lone Druid is gonna have a decent time on this mid lane. But a lot of it's gonna come down to the mid-game movements for Lil as well as Non-Grata.
So you're saying a lot is...
Interesting.
I'll let the voice...
It's Kuman on the Jug, and he's gonna go mid up against Magical Sandboy Spirit. And this is interesting, because it leaves Lone Druid up against Sand King Shadow Demon, which I thought was going to be a fine lane for Jug, and I thought Lone Druid was gonna do really well against Ember, but it seems like Team Winstrike does not agree with my assessment.
How do you... So they're putting the Lone Druid versus the Sand King as well as the Disruptor. Shadow Demon, sorry. I feel he's pretty exploitable here on this Lone Druid, isn't he? Because these heroes, they'll be able to get past the Bear if they want to.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, if he gets disrupted, he can just use Savage Roar on the Bear, so I don't expect him to really struggle too much with this lane. In fact, Lone Druid tends to be pretty good against those combo lanes, because of that ability to disrupt it with the Bear. But at the same time, I feel like Lone Druid has a better matchup against Ember than Jug, even if Jug can easily survive this lane and farm either way.
So, do you think the idea here is just to kind of make the lessen the farm of NAVI, because this Lone Druid's going to do better than the Juggernaut would have done versus this tanking a Shadow Demon lane?
I guess it's just minimizing risk, because I do feel like Lone Druid is slightly better in this top lane against the deadly Shadow Demon Sand King combo than Jug would be. So I don't expect anything crazy to happen from these lanes. I feel like there isn't a huge difference in laning like this as opposed to the standard lanes.
Maybe Lil over here in the bottom lane is actually just showing the power of this level 1 Winstrike. He's chasing down Sunoco, and honestly he would have been able to solo kill him if he didn't get you.
The final thing to say about these laning matchups, I do feel like it's player preference too, because Silent plays a really good Lone Druid.
Yeah, I do hear that. I think player preference is something, you know, when we look at the drafts abstractly, don't often think about. But you're right, if a person's comfortable in the hero, it just helps your team all that much more. So, curious about this mid lane. At level 1, Jug went for the Blade Dance instead of the Blast of Fury. Blade Fury, what do you think about that?
Well, it's just for harassment. It seems it's a bit exploitable by Magical, just using a level 1 Flame Guard to harass. But at the same time, Flame Guard level 1 isn't that scary. Deals only 30 damage per second and lasts for 8 seconds, so having that extra bit of harassing power in the crit doesn't seem like too bad of an idea for Kuman here.
So we talked about what the actual lane matchups was, at least for the side of Winstrike. On Na'Vi, do you think who do you think is the most important lane that they have to try and support with rotations? Do you think they have to secure Crystallizer's farm, or maybe they need rotations into the mid lane just to make sure Magical has a good game?
I feel like all of the lanes for Na'Vi are perfectly fine. No lane here really needs a rotation. There is a possibility of rotating either bot or top to try to get a kill, but both of these lanes are gonna be fine in an equilibrium position.
Yeah, so this top, and they do have a bit of detection down for Blizzy, but Zayak's able to get the D-ward there, it looks like. So it now just means that Blizzy is gonna have a free time inside the Sandstorm until No Fear is able to bring out another sentry.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful sentry position from Zayat, getting it into the trees. Bear getting really low, and Zayat actually gets it. That's a big deal. 300 gold for a position 5 support at this stage of the game. Yes, please.
Yeah, and it's also a fair chunk of experience, isn't it? Which,
yeah, I think so.
Which, honestly, you know, money is good and all, but these early levels, you just want more levels in your spells.
Yeah, I wonder which build he's gonna go for on the Shadow Demon, because there is quite a few of them. You can go for a max disruption, which tends to be better when there is like a Luna or a TB in the game. You can go for the max Soul Catcher if you really want that combo potential, or you can just go for Shadow Poison, which is nice for farming and D-pushing, as well as potentially killing.
Yeah, I like what Silent tried to do. He went for the Fear, hoping that Blizzy was on the edge of the Sandstorm, but unfortunately just not quite able to force him out of it. Just so unfortunate there. Over here, we do see Lil running away from Sunoco, as well as all these pesky skeletons coming to push onto Kuman. He does need to be careful about these things.
Actually, quite a bit of harassment here.
And it looks like they've actually just abandoned Crystallize, but he's just happily laning against this Doom.
Look at Kuman, he's getting so low.
Does have the healing wards, and they're not going to be able to take it down. Sunoco, is he going to get the 75 gold? No, he's not, but now the rotation in from No Fear. Magical, he's being slowed up by that mana drain, but the tower, it's just targeting the creeps, so Magical's going to be able to walk away safely. But he did get his mana drain.
So much damage from the skeletons. I'm sure that was exactly what Crystallize intended when he used the spell. Let's go harass mid lane.
I mean, that's the thing about those skeletons. You're really never sure where they're going to end up. You start them in one lane and they end up halfway across the map. So
it looks like Non-Grata is actually having the best time so far, 28 and 5 over on this bottom lane.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that this Doom has been doing so well. But Lil has most of the time been able to zone out this Keeper of the Light. So I guess Non-Grata in the 1v1 against Crystallize has been having the better time.
Right, so it looks like Doom is gonna go for a pretty basic build so far. I'm just very curious what Blizzy is gonna build. We've seen some quick blinks, we've seen...
They have 3 people here, they have the Ink Spell over onto Non-Grata. They do get the stun on top of Crystallize. He took over the Wild Ring Ripper. A second ago, he did have the Troll, but because he has the Wild Ring Ripper, he doesn't have the Trap, so they don't have quite enough to catch this Wraith King.
Wraith King is just so tanky. You have some heroes that survive these kind of lanes by having stuff like Spin or Rage, but Wraith King can survive lanes by just being so tanky. At the same time, we see Silent on top actually taking 4 stacks of Shadow Poison. Just one more and he would have died.
Yeah, it's, Blizzy here, 2 points in the Sandstorm. Do you think he's gonna go for the 4-4-0-0 build that we often see, where Sand Kings they just want to farm as well as get that Virus Strike up? Zayat, disruption while we mix first blood on the bottom lane. No fear, there isn't actually any follow-up. And looks like we should have gone to the middle. Oh my, kills happening all around, and I've managed to miss most of them. Zayax, it looks like he did have enough stacks over on the Lion.
Is he gonna get the root?
Unfortunately, no root for him. So what happened across the map? I managed to try and find some of the kills and end up missing all of them.
Looks like Magical got the counter kill eventually, so that's quite nice for him. At the same time, they did manage to take down the Lion for the side of Navi. So they're pretty good kills.
Yeah, and Kuman, he's doing pretty well in this mid lane. We're now seeing kind of why they put the junk in. Non-Grata, he does die, but with the Inkspell, he tries to walk away, but Zayax gets the disruption just in time, so the Inkspell isn't going to save him. Non-Grata, he is very fast, however, with the 2 points in the Scorcher, and he should be able to walk away to safety.
It's interesting, Non-Grata actually didn't skill up Doom at level 6. He's like, well, I'm against the Wraith King, he's gonna have ulti soon, so might as well not skill it for now, just putting that extra point into the Scorched Earth.
Yeah, I guess it makes a lot of sense. Blizzy, Silent is just sitting in a Blizzy Sandstorm. They clearly don't have the vision for him. And we've seen a lot of Lone Druid builds, and it looks like Silent, he is a fan of the Mask of Madness. Do you feel that's the right thing to go for, or do you feel any Lone Druid build is basically okay?
I feel like they're both okay, but I don't really mind seeing that kind of extra aggression on Silent this game. Just making sure that the Jug is going to be the hard farmer, and he's just gonna try to make stuff happen.
Yeah, Kuman going from Azar's Diffusal over here. They do have the Silence on top of Lil. They have the follow-up stun. The Omni Slash on top of Emissary. He hasn't been able to get rid of that Silence, but eventually Phantom's Embrace, it does return to the Grimstroker Magical, able to return to his Remnant. And on the bottom lane, it looks like he might be in trouble over here on BCZ. He's actually fighting. He loses so much health from Soul Catcher, and over here on the top lane, it looks like a haste rune on Lil didn't result in anything. Did you see that Soul Catcher on Zayax? It took was it a bunch of Shadow Poison? Sorry.
Yeah, it was the Shadow Poison. He had 5 stacks of level 3 Shadow Poison. It's kind of high.
Yeah, it did 619 magic damage. Sorry, I thought it was the Soul Catcher. He was at almost, you know, 3/4 health and then down to nothing.
It's a pretty decent spell. Especially if you have this many stuns on Navi, you can pretty reliably sure that you can get the 5 stacks off.
Yeah, so both these sides, we have seen a bit of progression, but it looks like all the carries are doing fairly okay. Winstrike, they do have a tiny bit of advantage, at least in the CS, but neither side getting a massive advantage in this.
Yeah, we saw the Omni try to make a play happen with, I mean the Jug trying to make a play happen with the Omni Slash. But level 1 Omni Slash is just so disappointing.
This Doom, he might be in trouble once again, but with the TPs in, it looks like they're not going to stick around under the tower.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So Crystallize, very interestingly, he's building a Midas. Do you think this is the right idea to try and scale into the late game?
Radiant's middle
I feel
tower
like it's
is
fine on
under
Raid
attack.
King. You generally struggle a lot with farming, so just making sure that you're always gonna skill. It's a very good path to go on a Raid King, because you do skill very well, because well, you have 2 lives, so you want to make sure you can make the most out of both of them. He doesn't have his
Blizzy, they
ulti though.
don't have... Oh, they didn't have any detection for Blizzy, and he tried to Burrow Strike, but it was just a bit too short. So it looks like there's going to be 3 bounty runes for the side of Winstrike, with this last one being claimed by Crystallize.
So we spoke about this, about Terrorblade skipping Sunder, and Crystallize is doing exactly the same thing. He just completely skipped his ulti, and he's like, well, go and do me, find out if I have ulti.
Yeah, because I feel like quite often I see Wraith Kings, they hold the point because the level 1 is such a long cooldown. But in this mid lane, Magical, he's going to be just fine with that Slice of Fist. No, yeah, you're right. They just hold on to the point, and there's the threat of the ultimate. You're never going to know how Crystallize is skilled.
Yep.
So you don't even need to put the point in it because they don't want to make that aggression just in case it's there.
Yeah, this is so ballsy. I love
Dire's
it.
top tower is under attack.
And Crystallize, with that Midas, we can switch over to the net worth, and it does seem like the 3 cores of Winstrike, they are having a slightly better time here.
Radiant's middle tower is under
But at the
attack.
same time, this Shadow Demon is a lot more farm than Lil's Grimstroke.
Dire's top tower is under
But Winstrike, they are prioritizing this mid lane tier 1. We saw them do it last time. This time they are taking it a bit later than the first catapult wave. But Silent, with this Mask of Madness, they just can't stop the bear this early on.
Fallen.
Yeah, for sure. Navi is gonna have some trouble with dealing with this bear, because there is not really a lot of levels on Shadow Poison and Soul Catcher yet, so they can't really burst it down that easily. It's a 3k HP bear. It's so tanky.
Blizzy and Xayah, however, they have smoked up together. It looks like they're looking for some aggression on this bottom lane. They find no fear over in the trees. Give the vision given by the Shadow Poison. The Slice of Fist is going to allow Magical to clear it up. Now, non-grata, he does have to do, but there's really no point wasting it. There are 4 people here in this bottom lane. I don't think he's going to get away, and Xayah's even sniping the kill for himself.
Nice rotations there by Navi. Let's see if they are gonna assemble for a push at some time too, because they do have a Raid King who is pretty fast at pushing. It looks like for now they're just content to try and get their initial items. They have a Veil on the Sand King, working towards a Blink, Magical, trying to get his drums up. Does have them, it looks like. And at the same time, you spoke about...
Oh,
Burst.
Blizzy just missing out on that stun. And he actually has put a point into that epicenter and gone for the Veil build. I feel like this is what we're seeing more and more on Sand Kings. They just want to be amplifying that magical damage.
And Veil is so cost effective. But yeah, we spoke about this, and Crystallize is actually opting to go for that Ironwood build as opposed to the Radiance. This is very interesting.
Do you think there's the possibility that Ember Spirit goes, you know, more in on the magic? Blizzy, they do have the dust to get a nice double shot, but now with his Parasite forward, he used the Finger of Death in Doug Crewman spinning round. It means this Will-O-Wisp isn't going to be enough, and the Doom, it's on top of the Ember Spirit. They're continuing to pursue over here with non-grata, but Xayah TP's in with the disruption. That's going to stop Kuman from going no fear, just eliminating these illusions. So Doom actually spent on the Ember Spirit. Maybe it's not a waste because it stopped him from turning around that fight, I guess.
He did get off the chains beforehand, so he could just run away. Kuman, 4 stacks of Shadow Poison. A little bit scary.
Oh, but Magical does retreat over to Wemben. Xayah, Kuman, he has that spin. Tracks of Shadow Poison don't matter. All these TPs in, but they have the link. So now they're on top of them. They're going to have the links on stun. And now they're onto a Magical Slice of Fist doing change. But it hasn't affected the bear. And now they have the silence coming out from Lil. It's a nice double stun from Blizzy. Crystallized on the backline. But they're lodging so many to these Slice of Fists. And now Silent, they're pursuing him. Xayah, he doesn't have the disruption. He's caught by the root Magical. He really wanted the Slice of Fist steering change. They have 3 stacks, and Xayah, another kill for him. So Winstrike getting a bit too over aggressive, and they lose 3 in this bottom lane.
Yeah, they went super deep.
Oh, they back Kuman now. They don't time the stun correctly, so Kuman is able to spin TP away.
And they fought inside a sandstorm as well, and Sand King is like, alright, go and dive, I'm fine with this.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, so Navi, after that big fight, they have a whole bunch of skeletons with the max Mortal Strike. So that's going to be an easy tier 1 tower. So now the only tier 1 remaining for the side of Winstrike is this mid tier 1.
Yeah, and Navi is doing a very good job just not being super aggressive, but punishing Winstrike's aggression when they do try to go and make some plays.
Yeah, their rotations have been really good. And actually, something I just wasn't thinking about until now is Disruption. It's not purely an aggressive tool. It's also a great save versus the Zombie Slash. But the Bear, they've caught him inside the Sandstorm. But more important to Navi, other than the Bear gold, is this Bounty Room gold. So they're going to get all three for their side, which is pretty damn nice.
Yeah, and Crystallize only 200 gold away from his Armlet now. He's gonna hit like a truck. I like that he's going for an aggressive build here, because if you look at these Winstrike heroes, a lot of them are quite squishy, so if Wraith King blinks on top of like a Grimstroke with an Armlet, he's gonna die in one stun for sure.
Yeah, it's the Grimstroke, the Lion. This is sometimes the issue with squishy intelligent supports, is just the fact if the enemy side has some mobility, they're the kind of heroes who are very easily able to burst.
And we're gonna go for the Maelstrom here, so he's going a bit more into that farming and scaling role, which I do like here.
Yeah, and now with that Armlet completed on Crystallize, he'll probably continue to farm until his Blink Dagger, unless Winstrike get over aggressive again. But then I would expect to see, with that Blink reveal, Navi to mount the aggression a tiny bit.
Yeah, and speaking about aggression, Kuman is actually going for Yasha into Diffusal, which is one of the most aggressive jug builds.
Yeah, I feel like most jug builds I see now are Yasha Maelstrom builds that allow you to scale that much further, but you're right, this is just raw out aggression. And versus the Wraith King, if you're able to kill him a bunch of times before he hits that level 20 with the Diffusal, you're really able to extend 2 sentries. A bit of a miscommunication there. Blizzy able to get some trees on Granta with the War Stomp. Nice blink there by him. They finally do find the Sand King and give No Fear another stack on his Finger of Death.
That's a very nice kill. They get a tier 1 as a Reborn, and they could potentially try and keep pressuring to force Navi back. There are a lot of skeletons in this top lane though. A lot of skeletons.
Yeah, and without that Radiance, Winstrike, something I didn't really think about is they lack wave clear, all except for the Grimstroke. They don't really have the ability to clear through these waves until they get the Radiance online. Over here, we have a fight. They managed to find Lil over on the Grimstroke. He doesn't manage to get the Ink-Spell off just in time. The Magical is easy tilt for him, but no, Granta does have the Doom. He's not able to throw because Magical dancing from Remnant to Remnant. He does have one more, and they won't be able to get the catch.
Very nicely played by Magical. He went in pretty deep, but at the same time, he knew he had the Remnants to get away in time.
Meanwhile, it looks like Kuman used the Omni Slash, and it didn't result in a kill for him. I think maybe Zayax just used the Disruption. He was just fine. Oh, but now they have the Disruption. He doesn't have the... They missed the Burrowed Strike again. I guess Kuman just a bit too fast on the spin. They're trying to get it just as he comes out and not timing it that split second perfectly because of the spin, I guess.
I think it's pretty much impossible to get off the stun after a Disruption if someone has a BKB or a spin.
Yeah, you can just smash that bottom in Disruption and you're okay.
Yeah, it's kind of finicky how it works with server ticks, the same with stuff like Impel, but it looks like generally you get off your magic immunity before the stun comes out.
So this Wraith King, he really is farming up a Storm now on Crystallize. Number 1 in the net worth, aided by this Midas he picked up. And he'll have this Blink Dagger pretty damn soon. So Silent, he's still a fair amount away from his Radiance. Oh, actually,
yeah.
I mean, he will have the Relic, but he still needs another 2,000 gold. And I think Navi, they're going to look to fight before he has it.
Yeah, I feel like as soon as Wraith King has this Blink, he's gonna be a lot more aggressive. Ember's gonna keep pushing waves, and so is Sand King. And it looks like Wraith King is gonna be the one to dial up the aggression here.
So, Non-Grata, we saw him have that Blink in the bottom lane, but we still haven't seen a Doom transition into a kill. Do you think that's just because of the positioning of Navi has been so good, or Winstrike, they're being very tempered with their aggression?
I feel like it's a combination of both. And at the same time, it's also very hard to get off a good Doom against this Navi lineup. They first phase picked Doom, and Navi picked heroes that are all really good against against Doom. Like, it's hard to get off a Doom on an Ember, and it's kind of pointless to get off a Doom on a Wraith King.
Yeah, and crystallized. So he does have that blink, but he's still hitting jungle creeps. They have the vision being given over here. They find Blizzy, the instant heck. There's Kuman. They don't get the finger of death in time. And now the Widow is disrupting this entire fight. Chris, it's a start over. Doom before he can use anything. They are sitting under the influence of the Widow. Remember, Crystallize, he does have another ultimate magical there. Effect over it. The finger of death is onto 2 without the Grimstick ultimate, but it doesn't matter. They have lost the Doom. Kuman, he's fighting up. They've also managed to kill the Wraith King. It looks like he didn't have the mana for the reincarnate. Now Magical is not able to get away. The diffusal blade over here on Kuman. And they brought in the Doom. Are they going to be able to kill Magical? They need one more hit. They've got it. Blizzy, they don't have the vision. They did lose the sentries in the middle of that fight, but Winstrike able to take a great fight. The reveal of this diffusal kills the Wraith King, burns his mana, and 2 big kills there for the side of Winstrike.
Yeah, for sure. This diffusal immediately paid off. Crystallized died with 147 mana.
Oh, and I think
30 more.
I think it's going to pay off once again as they find Snako going for the 20-minute rune. Kuman just continues to shoot him as he spins him down. And Kuman, a full mega kill almost across the map.
He's doing a great job. He's gonna have... Actually, it looks like he could possibly be skipping this Manta style. Looks like he has 2 ultimate orbs. Oh, no, he has the recipe in the career. I thought he was gonna go for a Skadi, which was kind of curious to me, but no.
Yeah, so he is building that Manta style. Obviously, it's so good versus both the blind of the Kotal as well as the Searing Chains if you don't want to use your spin that early.
Yeah, it gets rid of the Soul Catcher as well. So some really good spells to purge here for this Jug.
And Crystallize, we said he was going into the late game with this Midas, and now he's going back for the Radiance. Yeah. Do you like going back for the Radiance, getting it later on, or do you like picking up earlier, or heroes such as the Radiance?
I feel like in this game his build is pretty good. He started with the Midas, which makes sure that he can get his Blink and Armlet at a decent timing, but before we continue...
No fear, in real trouble. They have to set up bars, like instant stun, and 1 second there was a Lion there, the next second there's not. Silent, he will be able to TP away. No fear, tagging the gank for his lone Druid.
But yeah, I think this is a pretty good build. He has a good combination of farming, and right now he's completely ready to farm. But at the same time, it's a pretty good Radiance game, so I don't mind him trying to transition into it.
Yeah, so we haven't talked about Blizzy for a while. He does have that Blink Dagger as well as the Veil. The Yule's next. Is this the standard Sand King build? Just looking to be able to offer more control in the fights?
It's a bit more of a spellcaster Sand King than we're necessarily used to. Like, we don't see any kind of pipe or Crimson Guard coming out from him, but he has a ton of damage in utility.
Talking about Blizzy, I think he might be real danger. There's the 5-man of Winstrike. Do they have any idea? They can actually follow the Phantom. It's giving the vision, but is there anything to stop that TP? Lord Grant again with the Blink Warstock. And the Finger of Death are letting No Fear build up these stacks.
Getting off that Phantom was such a huge deal. Gave Nongrata exactly the vision he needed.
Yeah, Blizzy realized the gank was coming, but just a little bit unlucky there with that TP timing not going off.
So far, the game has been super even, and Winstrike is kind of hitting their timings, which could be worrisome for NAVI, because Ember Spirit is still quite weak.
Yeah, the Radiance completed here on the Lone Druid, as well as Kuman having this Diffusal Blade. We saw in the last fight how effective it was versus the Wraith King. Winstrike, I don't think they're not going to go for high ground at this point, are they? Or
It
maybe
looks
they
like
are.
they're definitely considering it. But ultimately it's too risky.
They found the Dire Courier, and this means they have an idea what Snako is, but they don't quite have the catch for him just yet. The drums even prop from Kuran. Zayax has his own Blink Dagger to be able to retreat, and the Radiant side, they're running to safety onto the Dire side of the map. And it looks like everyone will be able to get away with just a Courier claimed for the side of Na'Vi.
I think they're fine with that. Taking a fight that close to your base as Na'Vi against the Lone Druid is not really a risk you're willing to take. And at the same time, Crystallize closing in on his Radiance.
Yeah, Crystallize. I mean, we saw how long it took for the Lone Druid, and it looks like Crystallize with this Midas Blink as well as Armlet, he's going to have it at, you know, just a few minutes later. And you can actually see Crystallize. He's 3,000 gold ahead of the Lone Druid. But someone who I'm so impressed is keeping up is actually this Juggernaut of Kuman.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. He's 5-0. He's keeping up in CS with the Wraith King, even though Wraith King has a ton of skeletons helping him out. So yeah, he's doing a fantastic job on this jug.
So Magical is looking for that Lincoln Sphere. I feel like we haven't seen him really controlled in that fight. As he has dropped once in that that big engagement, but he hasn't been controlled that much otherwise. Does go for the double remnant to try and clear out the creep wave, but not quite level 18 yet. I think would have done it. Oh, actually only 1 point in the fire remnant.
Yeah, so it's just 200 damage. I feel like it's pretty basic to see an Ember Spirit go for this build just because his other spells and talents are so good.
Yeah, the remnants mostly being used for their mobility, and that doesn't get better with more levels, does it?
I wouldn't mind seeing Embers take 2 points.
Oh, over here, Blizzy blinks in, has the Veil, Epicenter, but they have the Sword Line instantly on top of Crystalline, but the Will-O-Wisp is on top of both of them. They get very low. They've already lost the Grimstroke, and they've lost their Lone Druid as well. Now they're continuing to stuck forward. The only attack on the back line is going to take down Sunoco. Crystalline, he's fighting up against Non-Grata. No buybacks yet, so it's just a 2-for-1, but a big fight for the side of Winstrike, and for the side of NAVI, sorry, and they're going to be able to claim this tower. Blizzy, nice setup there, just realizing that they were sitting behind that tower. The Blink Burrow Strike with the Veil, getting so much damage on both Lil and this Lone Druid.
Yeah, having the Void there was such a big deal. Seeing that Lone Druid getting the full Epicenter with the Veil off. And it looks like Winstrike gonna devoid the Void now, but it already did its job. Finding the Lone Druid and getting the tier 2 for free. Well, you lost Nico, but he already used his Will-O-Wisp, so it's basically for free.
Yeah, Non-Grata, I feel like he's just... Do you think he's holding on to these Dooms like too long? Because I feel like I've only ever seen him one Doom, and that was on an Ember Spirit that didn't result in a kill. Do you think... I know it's, crazy to say use them a bit more, freely, but maybe that would allow fights to go a slight bit better for Winstrike.
No, I would agree with you. I feel like getting off a Doom on a support before they get off their skills is perfectly fine. And even getting a Doom off on Crystallize before his ulti, so you can try to take him down twice, would be perfectly viable as well. He's being very reluctant about using it, which makes sense because it has such a long cooldown. But at the same time, if you don't use it, it's pretty much a dead spell.
Yeah, exactly. Crystallize, he now does have his Radiance, and he's just accelerating it fast. This Wraith King, especially once it gets to the late game, he is going to be very, very scary. Especially with that 25 talent where, when he goes down, he just has that AoE stun. Basically a shorter distance ravage.
Oh, for sure. But I feel like even his 20 talent is going to be huge. Having that no reincarnation mana cost means that he can freely man-fight his jug without risking not coming back to life that second time.
Yes, and in this bottom lane, we actually saw Blizzy, with the help of the Shadow Demon, able to finish off the bear. So they're showing they have the ability to stop this split push that they're trying to set up with the help of Silence Bear.
Non-Grata does have himself a nice BKB, so he has a bit more survivability in these fights. I wonder if either team is gonna try to commit for a Roche soon, because both teams can take it and can take it pretty quickly as well.
Yeah, Lil changing up his build from the last game, goes for the Glimmer Cape. Do you think that's indicative of the fact that he needs to be playing a bit more defensively, the ability to save his team? Or do you think he just feels that the Hex isn't as useful this game?
Well, they have absolutely no defensive supports on Winstrike, so it makes some sense.
Over here, Non-Grata pops his BKB, tries to get the Doom down. He gets the double Doom, and it's onto the Sand King as well as the Wraith King. Nice combo with Lil. Meanwhile, Kuman in the back down, killing that Shadow Doom. The Doom Blizzy is going to go down. And are they going to lose this Wraith King? They lose him for the first time with that Omni Sack, but he's going to be able to come back. Magical jumping back to Remnant. Are they going to be able to kill off this Wraith King? No. He was able to blink away to safety, but still a big fight for Winstrike. We are finally seeing that Doom saved for the double Doom with the help of Lil. And now Winstrike, they're looking towards this Roche pit. They still have Magical to be able to defend, but no Will-O-Wisp. Magical even getting a kill there with the Slice Fist Doom Chains. Lil a bit low. Doom, no BKB on him, and he's probably going to go down to Magical, taking a lot of damage from the Shadow Demon. And now Winstrike, they're the ones who have to back off.
Yeah, Winstrike was just completely out of steam, having used the Soulbind, the Doom, as well as the Omni Slash. And even though Navi only had 3 heroes, you have to respect the Slide of Fist together with Kotal, basically making it the double Slide of Fist.
Yeah, that first fight, it looked like it went very well. They got exactly what they wanted. Their spell casting was, you know, spot on. With Doom actually just saving it. Lil saying, use it on one of these soul-binded heroes, but just fighting back that buyback from the Shadow Demon, realizing, you know, we still have our spells. And Na'Vi now getting the Aegis and continuing a push of their own.
And while they did get a double Doom, which looked really good at the start, one of the targets was the Wraith King, and as we saw, he went down, but they weren't able to cancel his blink in time. But basically didn't really achieve that much on this Wraith King.
So Saneko, he's holding on to Will-O-Wisp. It's a nice stun. They managed to break the Lincoln Sphere. They pop the BKB, but Kuman, he does have the spin. I'm not sure they have enough right-click damage. They do have the purge, so now Crystallize, he's going to be able to follow him. There is the healing wall that they haven't quite been managed to get. Silent, his bear is on the backline. And looks like Crystallize instead, he is focusing back. Lion held in place by the Series Change, but they have the Virus like Epicenter, but it's not really catching anyone. But they will get the kill onto No Fear. No buyback on him. They're looking for a bit more magical with the DD. The Slice of Fist not connecting. So Winstrike, they might be able to hold their high ground. Kuman did manage to live through all of that.
Yeah, he had the healing ward active for so long and they couldn't quite take it down. So he must have healed himself for at least 1000 damage in that engagement.
Yeah, I wish we could see how much you get healed on the fight recap, but unfortunately I only have damage, and I can tell you it was Crystallized doing a whole bunch of it.
Yeah, 3.5k, and that's only on the jug, because I don't think he targeted anyone else.
I mean, he does have the Radiance, which is kind of AoE.
True.
But yeah, now Na'Vi just controlling this area. They still have the Aegis sitting over on Magical. So if they want to get aggressive, they can. On Grata, Glimmer came to the high ground. He does have the Doom, breaks the Lincoln Sphere. No, it looks like they mistimed it. This Emissary, he's not doomed up, so once this silent ends, they're going to be just fine. On the backline, the Figure of the Death, the Will-O-Wisp is holding two of them in place. Chris Light, he's fighting him up, but he's held in by the Soul Bind. He has level 20 damage, so it doesn't matter that he has no mana. And Spirit is looking for the line, but over here, they have the double Doom on top of this Cupid Light. He is going to go down. Are they going to look for the deny? They're going to lose their first life over on Kuman. Now on Grata, they've respawning on Crystallize. So the side of Winstrike, they've only lost Still, and they've lost 2 for the side of Na'Vi.
Doom really didn't want to Doom an Aegis Envoy. He was waiting for the Soulbind, and eventually they did get the double Doom once again, but hey, it was on Crystallize again.
Yeah, so they did manage to kill off both Blizzy and the Keeper of Light, and it looks like that aggression did push back Na'Vi. So they are going to be able to defend their high ground for a tiny bit longer on the side of Winstrike.
They didn't take the Aegis yet, so there is still a good 2 minutes left for Magical.
But I do have to say, to me, even though this game, it's not that far out of control, it feels like Winstrike, they are the ones on the back foot. What do you think what do you think they need to do to be able to get back in control?
Well, they just need to find some pickoffs on crucial targets. I feel like they can never really find Magical or Blizzy. And if you kill either one of these heroes, you can easily take like a tier 1 or a tier 2. So they need to make sure that they get this deep vision and make sure they can get some nice pickoffs. Because that's where all these pushes can start.
Yeah, it's Ember Spirit. He is smoked up here. They're sitting on the high ground here for side of Winstrike. So they've seen him into the smoke range, but it looks like they want to initiate over on No Fear's line. No Fear, he manages to break the Lincoln Sphere Magical, but there's no bomb back on him. And Lil, they have the dust for him. So he's going to go down as well. Both the supports from Winstrike, they're dead with no buyback. So it looks like they're sending Magical to get in the lane. And meanwhile, Crystallize his Skeletons, they're pushing in this top wave, so it looks like it's definitely going to be a tier 3, but they're actually focusing the bear, sitting in the sandstorm. They have the veil. It doesn't really matter because they have the purge. Kuman even using the healing ward to try and save this bear, but they break his own Lincoln Sphere. He wants to take down Blizzy, but he's not going to be able to be successful. Side to Fist, Series Chains, it does hold the Doom in position, and now Crystallize, he's going in. They have the Will-O-Wisp, but Grata has his own BKB, Epicenter, Winstrike. They are going to lose their first bear, but Silent, he is just fine. Grata. Are they going to be able to kill Blizzy? He is pretty low in the side of the base of Winstrike, but using that Sandstorm to be able to walk away to safety. So the side of Na'Vi, they do extend a lot, and they don't actually get anything for it. So Winstrike, I think they can be happy with that defense.
Well, they don't really get anything, but at the same time, they do force the Doom BKB and they take down a bear. I don't feel like Navi is too dissatisfied with how that went.
Crystallized, he did get affected by the diffuser blade, but his blink was of cooldown, so he managed to make it out. This bear, by the way, does have the AC completed, and is actually getting a Maelstrom on this bear. Looks like they just want more wave clear for the side of Winstrike.
Yeah. I feel like the bear might need a BKB though, because it's so hard for him to deal any damage in these fights, because it just gets completely shut down with all the stunts.
Yeah, and I do have to say, I feel like Saneko's Will-O-Wisps have just been in a great position every fight to try and break it up.
Oh, for sure. They're beautiful.
So,
oh, and Zayats actually has an Aghanim's now on Shadow Demon, which means that he can completely shut down the Jug.
Oh, no fear! Almost dying in one crit, gets up the quick hits, but he's gonna actually drop to Zayat. Zach's able to take another kill. They have the disruption here, and they're right on top. And so all this low druid, able to kill him, his bear, not quite able to save him, and they're just gonna let him burn down to the radiance. Now they just have to get the lanes in control. There's actually no buyback here on the lone druid, so I think finally we might see Navi able to break into the high ground of Winstrike.
Yeah, there is no buyback on lone druid. Lion is gonna respawn soon, but it's kind of gonna be hard to depush here, because this Wraith King is just so tanky. Like, you can maybe stroke of fate him once or twice, but he's not gonna drop low enough to go back.
So they do have the Doom, they do have the Grimstoke Ultimate, but meanwhile Blizzy goes in there on top of the Doom. They have the control for him. He's not even going to get off his BKB. They tried to save him with the Glimmer Cape, but it doesn't matter. They've lost their Doom. BZZ, he's got down for 60 seconds, and now they're just safely taking the rack with the help of their Will-O-Wisp.
Yeah, and no buyback on the Doom, so this is 50 seconds without him. Should be an easy rack for Navi.
And Navi, they go in once again on this line, no fear. It feels like he's been the target of all these initiations. They have the purge over to Juggernaut. He has the on his side. He uses it to try and survive a tiny bit longer. Magical blink away. It looks like Crystallite, no, he's not even going to lose his first life. He thinks about losing his first life, but he's just going to stick around. He's more than happy to have a look at this second lane of barracks.
Yeah, so now even Omni Slash is down, and it's going to be even harder for Winstrike to defend this.
They do have the bear back up, but Magical, he's just zoning the entire side of Crystallite single-handedly. They do go on Kuman. Is he going to go down? He does manage to get spin, but they have the right picks. It's more than enough. He is one with buyback for the side of Winstrike, but it looks like he's not going to pop it. But Navi, they still haven't lost anyone, and they're just going to go and look for the full-on Mega Creeps.
This Shadow Demon is just completely destroying Jug every single time. Every time they get off the burst on him, he can't just spin run away because he's so incredibly slow.
And Magical, with this Lincoln Spade, he's just wreaking havoc on the backline. Crystallite, he does lose his first life, but now they're on top of the Doom. Does have a BKB, but it's a nice stun to Doom. Pops his BKB, but he wants to use the Doom on the backline. He does get the double Doom off onto both of the boards, but Magical, he kills Snowbeard once again. Blizzy throws himself into, Crystallite, he does have his ultimate. Kuman, it seems to be able to get the kill. It looks like they might lose the Wraith King. They have managed to take down the Wraith King, and they did find both the supports with that double Doom with the help of Lil. So they do manage to save their last lane of barracks here on Winstrike.
Very nicely done. They needed this on Winstrike. If they can make sure they Doom the Shadow Demon total every single fight, they still have a very real chance of winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought Winstrike, they'd lost, you know, 2 skirmishes for those 2 other barracks, but finally they got their boats in a line, and they got the double Doom, and there is really good communication here between BZZ as well as Lil. They're getting this off every time. Meanwhile, Blizzy is sitting on this high ground while Winstrike try and take this Roche. They all have buybacks on Navi. Are they going to contest?
I doubt it. I feel like it's not worth the risk to try and buy back for a Roche. Because if they lose a fight then into Roche, it could potentially just mean that they instantly lose the game, because if you lose the Roche fight after just buying back, game is over, no matter how far you're actually ahead. This is a cheese too, so very nice turn of events for Winstrike.
So Non-Crata has the gem as well as the BKB on him, so they are able to find the Sankian fights. And Lil, he has a foresight staff. Is he building the Hex? It looks like he's opted for the Blink Dagger just to be able to reach those back lines with the help of the Doom. Just double Doom the support seems to be the name of the game for these.
Yeah, and it's so hard to save up for like a 5 to 6k item when you're actually behind against super creeps and on the ropes. You really don't want to go like 20
the Yord's in the air. They try and get the kill onto Silent, but it's a teeny bit mistimed. Do they have a vision over here? It looks like the Light King's going to go down. They do have the Soulbind. It's also a whole bunch of Granted, he doesn't have the Doom card yet, and they're having this fight. They have the BKB. The Will-O-Wisp is also a whole bunch of... It looks like they are going to lose Zil, and they're also going to lose the Bear. That's 84 seconds. He's not the one with the Aegis. The Aegis is over on the Juggernaut. They managed to catch the Doom once more, and it looks like the Juggernaut, he's going to be the only one remaining. That Doom, he does have buyback, but even taking that fight without into the team with the Aegis, NAVI, knowing their strength, not respecting the Aegis, and they were damn right not to.
Yeah, and Zayat just keeps cancelling the Lincolns from the Jug, so it's so hard for him to play. Even
And
with the
Kuman,
Aegis.
they're just zoning back Kuman and stealing their own illusions. So now they're going to have a 3-on-5 for the man side of NAVI. But Kuman with this Aegis, he just needs to be able to achieve something. But they go in, they have the finger there, completely able to save himself with the help of that Yule Sensor. Meanwhile, Crystallize is playing objective-based gaming. They don't actually have the vision over here for Blizzy, so he's able to spin away. That's full-on Mega Creep. Now Crystallize, he's winning fights Kuman. He knows they both have second lives, but he just doesn't care. Kuman lost his first link there. But from the Crystallized Reincarnation cast, the stun. But Non-Grata, they have 4 of them remaining, but it looks like NAVI, they're actually going to focus the shrines, wait for the Mega Creep to start pushing into the side of Winstrike, and that's when they're going to make their final play.
Yeah, and it's so hard for Winstrike to hold off Mega Creeps. They don't have like a Battle Fury on Jug. Doom doesn't have his Cleave talent on level 25 yet. So it's gonna be super tough for Winstrike to stop this. I mean, we've seen cases of teams coming back against Mega Creeps, but with this lineup, it's quite a steep mountain to climb.
I mean, Kuman, he can clear waves with the help of his Molineer. It's worth noting the Bear has a Molineer of its own as well as the Radiant. So they do now have some wave clear that they didn't initially have in their draft on the side of Winstrike. But Xyx, he's been playing so well on this Shadow Demon the entire game. As the Blink goes forward, he uses the Purge on top of the Bear, and this Bear is just going to be forced to limp away. They do have the destruction they want it, but then we have the double Omni-Stun as well as Solomon, and it looks like the Omni-Stun, they're going to lose both of them. They pop the Doom, and now they're fighting up Crystallize. They fight back instantaneously on both these sports. They are going to lose the first life over on this breaking. Meanwhile, Magical, he's trying to go back no fit. It's a nice double stun Epicenter. Kuman, he does have the Aegis if he wants to use it. Blizzy there fighting back. Kuman, he is finally going to drop to that Radiant Spell. Now Kuman, he is all by himself. Silent, he is there, but it looks like he doesn't have another Bear for a little while, so they're right on top of him. They use the disruption, but Kuman able to spin away to his high ground. It looks like Silent is going to die on this backline, but the Juggernaut, is he able to get away? It looks Magical right on top of him. They do lose the Bear. Magical no spin for a little while, and there is more than enough damage, and he is dead. That is GG. Lil not able to defend Mega Creeps on his own. NAVI continuing their perfect record here in the CIS qualifiers.
Yeah, super solid performance from them. I honestly can't say much more than solid. They had a really nice game plan. They didn't give up too much. There was some moments where Winstrike showed signs of life, but overall NAVI was just out-farming them, and their map movements were just slightly better.